the briefing for school colleagues, school mentors, for our second year undergraduate associate teachers on the primary and early years education with QTS course. So if you're in the meeting, we are assuming that you are hosting one of these students for us this term. My laptop's going slow. Okay, we'll just go with it the way it is. So I'm John Barrington. I'm one of the Year 2 leads. Nicola Willis, who I've just been speaking to, is my colleague and does that job with me. And then we've also got Louise Wheatcroft, who's also on the meeting. She is part of the same team, and she leads on the pastoral aspects for the cohort. So we've also got a placement team member joining us on the meeting. I'm not sure if he's in yet. That's Yorgos. And Yorgos is going to talk to us about the new electronic placement system. So when he arrives, I can call him in, and and he can go through that with you when he gets in. Okay, we'll carry on. So quite a few changes in initial teacher education, as you may have heard. A lot of training around for mentors. If you've got any PGCEs or first year associate teachers in your schools, then you will be required to carry out 20 hours of mentor training, which is provided by us. For our cohort, the second year cohort, that's not a requirement, but it is an option. And we've also got another colleague, primary partnership lead, Anne, who will be joining us at the end of the meeting to talk to you about that opportunity. But as it stands, our second year associate teachers, if you're hosting one of these, then you don't need to do that training at this stage. So along with all those changes comes some changes in terminology. So if you've supported students, if you've supported associate teachers before for us, then the bits in white down the side will make some sense to you. If you're new to us, just concentrate on the red and blue bits. So what has been called previously and is still called probably in school your class teacher and school mentor. We are now using the term placement mentor for people in that role. The person who is in school who is responsible for placing students in classes. Where they come from, primarily they're coming from road traffic, and also from. We just need to mute that, I think, Nicola, please. Thank you. Yep. Is now called the professional mentor. And some professional mentors I know in schools will engage with the students, with the associate teachers, and do some of the observations and maybe some of the weekly meetings. And in other schools, that is done entirely by the placement mentors, and either way is okay. The person that comes in from university, the member of staff from university that comes in and oversees the placement and does a joint observation with you, is who was the university tutor, and those familiar with who worked with us before will know your university tutors, and they're now called lead mentors. So we've got placement mentors, professional mentors, and lead mentors. And associate teacher, which is the term that we were using last year, remains the same. Associate teacher for the people coming into school being trained by you. So before we allow them to go into schools, we've got certain pre-placement requirements. So all of our associate teachers have completed safeguarding. They did safeguarding training in their first year, and then we've just done another session with them in university this term. So they've gone through a 90-minute face-to-face safeguarding session with our safeguarding lead, and then they've completed all necessary safeguarding and prevent tasks so that they're trained and ready to go into schools. They've also all got enhanced DBS, and they should have all the certificates for all of that to share with you, should you need to see those when they come in on their first day. So, so the preliminary visits, we split the training into the placement into sort of two parts, really. There's the preliminary visits, where the associate teachers will come into school, get to know the children in the class, get to know the staff in the school, collect some policies, do some observations, but no teaching in the preliminary visits. So they start on Monday next week, 14th of October, and they're in for the Monday, Wednesday and Thursday of that week. And then the following week, they'll be in again on Monday and Tuesday and Friday. There's the dates on the screen. And then for the full week, from Monday, the 4th of November up to the 8th. At the end of that week, or at some point in that week, they will be required to meet with the lead mentor assigned to your school, who will go through all the paperwork that they've completed during the prelim visits and sign them off, check what they're going to be teaching, and everything's all in place, and that they're ready to start teaching on the 11th of November, which is after half term. So the block placement from the Monday after half term, the 11th of November, it's a 6-week block through to right the way up to Christmas, Friday the 20th of December. So teaching guidelines, all this is in their documentation, which I'll come to in a moment, but we ask you to set them off at around 50% of the timetable, and increase that a little bit up to 60% as the placement progresses. Now, this doesn't have to be done rigidly for every associate teacher in the same way. And if you feel like somebody needs a bit more support, and somebody might need a bit of team teaching in the first week to sort of get them into the groove, then that's absolutely fine. And others who might be more confident, you might be able to give them things to do and they'll go off and run with it. So the percentage guidelines to start at 50 and move up to 60 can be whole class teaching. It can also be small group interventions, as long as they're planned and delivered by the associate teacher, and it can even be one-to-one work, again, if it's planned and delivered by the associate teachers. So the increase in percentages and the group sizes, so moving perhaps from small groups to more whole class, can again just be negotiated between the associate teacher and the placement mentor as the placement progresses. Again, horses for courses. When they're not doing teaching, either to a group or to the whole class, they are, and they've all been told this in the placement briefing that we've done with them at the university, they're just required to be like in your class and supporting children within your lessons. So in a sort of a TA role, they're not sitting in the corridor and doing their plans for the next day and marking. They need to be in the classroom for the time that you're in the classroom. Okay. Skip on. So you may be interested in our curriculum and what they're learning in university. What have they been taught? What can they come in and teach to the children? So this is a very broad overview of our curriculum, what we teach them in university in our sessions. So there's the core curriculum, like the national curriculum, the maths, English, science modules that they engage with and are assessed on. There is a foundation. There are foundation curriculum modules. Again, we have specialist subject leaders for all of the subjects in the foundation curriculum at BCU, and they'll do a foundation modules each year of the course, and be assessed on those as well. And then there are professional studies modules as well, leadership, where they do aspects of teaching which don't sit within a subject, things like behaviour management and assessment and leadership as well. And sort of binding all that together is this part that we're talking about now, the school-based training, where they can actually come into school and put some of that theory into practice. So our curriculum is organised into 6 key themes, which are drawn from the ITE core content framework. And very briefly, theme A is about using the associate teachers using critical inquiry to inform their practice. Key theme B is around behaviour management and high expectations. C is around subject and pedagogical knowledge. High focus on that one from our Ofsted not so long ago. So a real focus on developing associate teachers' subject knowledge now in initial teacher education. Key theme D is about planning and assessment. E is around adaptive teaching and SEND, and key theme F is around professional behaviours. So when they come into school, they will have 2 key documents really that they need to complete as they go through the placement. It's something, both of them really are things that they need to keep on top of as they go along, not something to leave to the end of the 6-week block and try and fill it all in then. So we've got the progress journal, which sort of documents what actually happens throughout the placement and is their assessment as well. And then we've got the subject specific development journal, which is something that they've started in university. They started it last year. They fill in bits of it while they're here with us, and then they fill in bits of it when they're out on placement with you. So just to sort of develop that a little bit. So this document is split into 3 phases, and I think we've split it up so that we just gave them phase 1 last year. They've got phase 2 to complete this year, and they'll have phase 3 in their 3rd year. So if you look at the example on the screen, I think this is an example from maths. So what's written in the columns, the learn that and the learn how to statements, are the sort of nitty-gritty detail of our curriculum. So this is quite a big document because it goes through everything we teach in every subject. So if you want to know what they've been taught and what they've learnt in geography in phase 1, or what they've done in PE, or whatever, whichever subject you want to look at, we'll work with them on. It's there in the subject specific development journal. Now the 3rd column, they will have written some things in there, some reflections on what they learnt and what they experienced in the sessions for those subjects. The end column, the 4th column, is for them to write reflections on when they're on placement in school, and this is clearly to try and make these links between the theory that we teach them in university and some of the skills as well, with the practice in the classroom. So they've done phase 1. They can add to phase 1 this year. Those are the things they've already been taught. In phase 2, because we're so early in the year, they really will have only done 1 module by the time they come out, 1 module in phase 2 by the time they come out to school, which is a professional studies module around SEND. So they've done that this year, and that's like sort of hot off the press. So they should be knowledgeable around quite a few things around SEND and adaptive teaching. So they can start filling that little bit in as well, and they can put reflections on what they teach in the different subjects as well in phase 2, and then when they come back into university, that we can do it the other way around, and they can sort of try and make the links between the theory that we teach them and the practice that you've showed them and given the opportunities to do while they've been on placement. So that one's the subject-specific development journal. This is a folder that we set up for them on our OneDrive, and this enables them to share everything that they do with all the people that need to be involved and see what they're up to. So so in the folder, we sort of set the folder up for them, we send it out, and they download it, and then they populate it with their own stuff. So the progress journal goes in this folder, the subject development journal goes in this folder, the two things we've just mentioned, their safeguarding certificates, their plans, maybe some of their resources, the observation feedback that they get from you and from our lead mentors when they come into school, all that goes into the folder. So they share it with their placement mentor, their professional mentor in school, their lead mentor, and also their personal development tutor back here at BCU. So we've all got some real-time access to those documents. Okay. Yeah, one of the documents in there is an emergency contact form. This is for you, really. So if they choose to complete this, and we hope that they do, complete their emergency contact and leave that form with you, so that if there is an emergency and they end up waking up somewhere in hospital, we've managed to get the right person there, that the first face they see when they wake up, and it's not somebody from school or somebody from university that's sitting there at the foot of their bed. So we do encourage them to fill that in. It's up to them if they do that, but you know about it as well now. So the other document, the progress journal, is split up in this way. So there are a number of preliminary tasks for associate teachers to do in those sort of 3 bitty weeks that they do before the block placement. There's an associate teacher learning observations sheet. This is for them to do a minimum of 3 observations, 3 lesson observations, a core observation, a foundation subject observation, and a phonics observation. So we do like them to go and do make phonics part of every placement. There's a pre-approval checklist which sort of details all of those things there that I was just talking about, and a little bit more as well. There's a lot of policies and different bits and pieces for them to collect around, like behaviour and safeguarding and professional behaviours. There's a few tasks for them to do as well, and all of those are summarised in that list. And we do ask you to go through that list just before they meet our lead mentors to sign them off, so that you can check to say yes, they've done all of those things in school, and then it's an easy job for us to sign them off. There's also a targets page, which I'll talk about in a moment. There are weekly meetings and target setting pages, also review and progress meeting pages, critical incidents on, and then right at the end of the document is our assessment tracker for each student, associate teacher. So these are the preliminary tasks I've just mentioned. So there's a safeguarding task, finding out about your safeguarding policies and procedures, who your DSLs are, where to find them, that sort of thing. Looking at your behaviour policy, looking at behaviour management and the way that the teachers manage children's behaviour in classrooms and in corridors and in different situations, and the professional behaviours and learning environment tasks as well. And the 3 observations that I mentioned on the previous slide. This is the targets page. So we asked them to set initial targets, and these are really only for the first week. So their targets could be based on something from the end of their first placement last year when they were in year 1, or it might be something particular to your school, or particular to something that they've done since their last placement ended, and around the things that they've been doing in university since. So 3 targets based on aspects of the key themes, and you'll see at the top the writing's quite small, but we structure targets in a what, why, and how format. So what do you want the associate teacher to do? Why is that important? Which is usually something around the impact on pupil progress, and really importantly for them, how do they do it? So you're sort of giving them some advice on how to achieve the target that you've set for them. So the how on this particular document can go in the actions to achieve column down on the right hand side, and the what and the why can go in the middle column, and then just the letter related to the BCU key theme as from the slide that we just went through a few moments ago. So the what, the why, and the how. There's a couple of examples on that slide there. One for maths and one for history to support that, and we do ask that you follow that procedure whenever you're writing targets for them, either after a lesson or in a weekly meeting. So there are quite a few of these pages in the book. There should be one for each of the 6 weeks. So there's the number of boxes, and these are not, this whole document is not really for you to complete. There's only a little bit that we ask you to complete, which I'll talk to you about in a moment. But the majority of this is to be completed by the associate teacher. You can direct them on what they should be writing in here and discuss things with them, but we want them to take ownership of this and complete this document. So the first bit is just writing something about their progress towards their previous targets, and you might say to them that those targets have been met satisfactorily, and they're going to be changed, or you can give them some different targets, or you might want them to keep the same targets and work on them in a slightly different way. The next bit is the discussion around subject knowledge. So high focus on subject knowledge, and this will be the subject knowledge that they have demonstrated or not demonstrated in the week that you're just reviewing. So this is a good point to have the 2 documents open and to look at the subject specific development journal and look at how the theory and the practice link up, related to whatever they've been doing in that particular week. Also some discussion around subject knowledge for the coming week. What do they need to go and find out about? Which subjects are you going to be asking them to teach for the next week? What sort of research do they need to do? Which notes do they need to go back to? And slides from lectures that they've attended, which will help them to do what you've asked them to do for the coming week. There is a discussion around the professional development, like the behaviour management, the quality of their planning, adaptive teaching, professional behaviours, all those sort of non-subject specific things. There's a little box to fill in there. And then something about their strengths, what they're doing really well at, what they're good at, and then some of the feedback. So there's it's split into formal feedback that they've had maybe from a lesson observation, and those like really sort of important informal little bits of feedback as well that you might remind them of, and we just want them to sort of capture that and make a record of those just in those 2 boxes at the bottom there. Right at the bottom again, we've got 3 targets, and again you can continue with targets from their initial targets in that first week, or you might think that they need changing, but again the what, why, how is the way forward with targets for us. So when they are completing in the meeting, we ask them to do these, to complete that in the meeting. And so it's not an extra job to do afterwards, do it as they go along. And also in the meeting, this is what we ask you to do. So this is the tracker, and those of you that have worked with us before will be familiar with this. And we ask you to highlight or underline the statements in the tracker related to what the associate teacher has attained during the week and previously. So this is an example from Key Theme D. On this placement, the vast majority of the attainment will be in the first column, in the working towards column. I'll show you another slide about expectations at different points in a moment. But it's so important to do this every week and not leave it to the end of the placement, because it acts then as a formative assessment of how they're doing, and it shows them where the gaps are and the things that they need to work on. And we do encourage them to bring evidence to the meetings to show where they think they've achieved something. Take some evidence to your weekly meeting and share that with your mentor. One other thing I'd say is that these are not, they don't really only need to be based on the lesson observation that has happened in that week. Yes, that will feed into this, but there are a lot of things that happen outside of lesson observations that are captured in all of these statements across the 6 key themes. So it's just about their general attainment in all aspects, and it doesn't have to be something that they've showed in the one lesson observation that they've had in that particular week. Talking lesson observations, so this is the lesson observation feedback form for most subjects. So again, it's structured in a similar way to the stuff that we've just been going through, looking at attainment in different sort of aspects within the lesson, and there's the 3 targets again at the end, as we've gone through already. So for core and foundation subjects, that would be the observation form. For phonics, which is structured slightly differently, beg your pardon. So for phonics, we've got a slightly different form, or a very different form, to be completed for phonics observations. Now we do, obviously, if associate teachers are in Key Stage 1, we expect that they will have the opportunity to observe and teach some phonics to groups of children. If they're in Key Stage 2, we still like them to go and observe somebody teaching phonics, to go and see some good practice, and if possible go down into perhaps the Year 1 class if you're able to arrange. If you've got an associate teacher in your class and you're a Key Stage 2 teacher and there's not phonics going on as part of your curriculum, perhaps then could they go down lower down the school and just experience that a little bit. So phonics is quite a high focus and important part of all placements. So at sort of the midpoint of the placement, so week beginning the 25th of November, we review the progress that the associate teachers have made, and we look at that document, the tracker, with those statements underlined or highlighted, to make a judgment on their a best fit judgment on their progress. So it's a best fit against each one of the key themes. And you can see there that the requirement at the midpoint of this review meeting is that to be demonstrating competence in 75% of the BCU curriculum themes at the working towards level. That's the first column. So 75% of every key theme in the first column. Now there are a number of associate teachers who, for various reasons, are completing their SBT1 placement. So their requirements, which are detailed in their progress journals, all of this is in the progress journals, but obviously their expectations are a little bit lower for that first placement. So it's just some of the BCU curriculum elements of the BCU curriculum themes in the working towards level at that review meeting. This bit at the top where it says critical incident, we do ask them to complete a critical incident reflection, which has had an impact on their practice. They've had some examples of critical incident reflections, and we've talked to them about critical incident reflections. So they should do that prior to the progress meeting, and the progress meetings will be supported by lead mentors as well. So the critical incidents should be completed ahead of that, and then we do ask them to talk through their critical incidents, and if relevant, then they can bring along evidence as well to support what they say they've been doing and what they're reflecting on and what the impact has been on their practice. So at the end of the placement, very similar to the review meeting, we have progress meetings in the last week. Again, they do a critical incident, and you can see that the goalposts have moved a little bit now. The requirements for the end of the placement for SBT2 associate teachers are competent in all elements of the BCU curriculum themes at the working towards level and elements of the working at. So all of the first column and some bits in the second column. And some may go beyond that, but that's sort of the minimum. Now, if they don't reach that, and you can see this bit at the bottom here that talks about rapid improvement targets. We do have a form in the progress journal to complete what we call rapid improvement targets. So these are really focused targets, focusing on the things that the associate teacher really needs to do to get to that required level. So they can be done at any time through the placement, but if we get to that point at the end, then that can be taken forward to the next placement if they haven't reached the required levels. SBT1 progress meeting, again, the dates are all the same, but the level that they're required to get to is slightly different. Little mention about the fail. It says at the bottom there, when they're not demonstrating competence for SBT1 placements, this is in at least 50% of the elements in the working towards level, then they will have, and not fully engaged or responded to advice and feedback, then they will have failed SBT1. So we put the rapid improvement targets in. We try and get them in early if it looks like the placement is going in that direction, because we're trying to stop that from happening, really. And we do want the associate teachers to pass. Not all of them are going to pass. We do know that, but if we can support them all to pass, then we don't get as many fails at the end. Okay. So rapid improvement targets just mentioned, 3 focus targets, including strategies for the AT to achieve them, and additional support strategies provided by the school. So again, it's like the targets that we set generally, really. The bit, how do you do it, is the important part. So rather than just telling them what they need to do, we need to sort of support them in how to do it. And again, your lead mentor from the university can support with rapid improvement targets where needed. Okay, can I ask if Yorgos has joined us? Are you with us, Yorgos?
I am, yes.
Aha, okay. So I'm going to ask Yorgos from the partnership team to talk. I'll just go back to where, just to remind you. So the new electronic placement system is something that you all need to know about, and I'm going to stop sharing this now and ask Yorgos to do that. And then afterwards, have we got Anne with us as well? Are you with us, Anne? Maybe not. If
yes, no, John, I'm here, so
I've definitely seen her in the chat.
You can't see me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then Anne is going to talk to us, talk to you about the mentor training, which I mentioned at the beginning when Yorgos is finished. So I'll stop sharing this one and I'll hand over to Yorgos.
Thanks, John. I'm just going to try and bring my screen up. Okay. Can you see that okay?
Yeah, I can see that.
Brilliant, thank you. I'm going to try and keep it short because John's just shared kind of the key bit of information that obviously you'll need to support associate teachers. As John said, my name is Yorgos. I work for our placements partnerships team. I have emailed lots of you. I'm seeing lots of names. It's good to have some people in the room and kind of be able to put some, well, team screens at least to some of the names. I just want to say a couple of things quickly about our new placement portal that we've introduced this year. It's called PCP. A lot of you have already interacted with it, and I've spoken to some of you about it. So the placement communication portal is basically a way for us to communicate important placement information with you. It hosts information about the placements, about the students, and it's hopefully going to make it a bit more kind of organized and easier for us to keep track of the students, well, the associate teachers that we're placing in your schools. So I just want to kind of give you a very brief overview. If you've interacted with the portal already, this may not be news to you, but just for anybody that may have had any issues with it, just to say a couple of things about it. So this guide that we're looking at the moment was attached to kind of an email that you would have been sent by us that gives you a bit of an overview of how the portal works. I just want to show you a couple things about it, how to get into it. So when we click on the link in the guide, that's where we kind of land on the portal, and we'll need to register with this. You would have been told that your school email address in most cases has been enabled for registration. So basically to get onto the portal for the first time, we need to create a school account for you. So on this, using this register button here, you'll be able to put your school email address into this little field here, and you'll then be sent a temporary password to your school email address, which you can use to log into the portal back on this screen here. It'll then ask you to reset your password, and you'll be able to get logged into the portal itself. There's a couple of things that I just want to point out here. For the first time, when you register with the portal, we'd asked you to complete sort of two main bits, and they are both the school profile and your contact section. They're important so that we are sure we have the right information about your school on record and that the right people in your school have access to the information. So your school profile, when I click on this basically just is a list of information that we hold on record for the schools that we place associate teachers in. There'll be a number of details in here. If there's a problem with any of these, we'd ask you to just use this little change button here at the bottom and let us know which of the information might be incorrect or missing, and then we can correct that for you. The other thing that you can do in your school profile is to add a little welcome message, which will be displayed to the associate teachers before they come out on placement with you. So if you wanted to let them know specific things about your school, if you wanted them to prepare anything specific, point out a specific person to talk to before the placement, you could put some information into this welcome message box here, and the associate teachers would then be able to have a look at it before they come out into school with you. The second bit that we want to do after registering with the portal is to go onto this contacts list here. This is kind of the heart of the portal, really, that will determine who has access to the portal on behalf of your school. So after you've registered for an account with your school email address, in most cases, I would assume that you'll be the person who's in charge of placements at your school, either as a head teacher or a deputy or whatever your role is. So you might want to set up a user account for yourself. So you put in details by using this add new contact button here, and the option at the end here is quite important. So there are three different roles that can access the portal. There's kind of the school admin one, which is basically a view only setting. So that's what is enabled for your school email address. That will allow you to view all student information, but it won't allow you to make changes in the portal, things like signing the partnership agreement, making offers of placements, or assigning mentors to students. Those functions sit with the school placement coordinator, and I'm assuming that in most cases that will be a dedicated person at your school that we've been in touch with. So for yourself, you might want to set up the school placement coordinator role, and that will then enable you to log into the portal and do all the things that you need to do in there. The third role is the placement mentor, which will be the mentor that works directly with the associate teacher. So in lots of cases, that's going to be a class teacher. They will only have access to the student information about the specific associate teacher that they work with. So if you have 3 students in your school, you might want to create a login for each of the 3 class teachers, placement mentors that works with the associate teacher, so they have access to the information, and it gives them a list of dates that the associate teacher is in school and things like that. I'll point that out in a second. Once you've created an account for the school placement coordinator, that's quite an important bit, because where we move to the student allocation screen, you will in the first instance see a kind of grayed out area here where it says you need to sign a partnership agreement before you can access any student information. And that will only be able to be done by the school placement coordinator. So after registration for your school account, create an account for the school placement coordinator, and you can then sign the partnership agreement. I've already done that because this is kind of a test account that I'm showing you right now, but there'll be a button here, and instead of view partnership agreement, it'll say sign partnership agreement. So you can sign it electronically right in this section here. I'm just going to show that really quickly. So there's the agreement is here. You can have a look at it. You can download it for your own files as well. And then at the bottom, there'll be a little tick box so you can sign it electronically. Once you've done that, back on the student allocation screen that we've just looked at here, you'll then have the option to view students here. And this is where you find the information about the students. That's kind of the important bit that we will actually want to access. As I said, this is a test account, so ignore the weird names. But say, for example, John would be in one of the schools. It would say John Barrington, the associate teacher's name here. We see John's currently in a year 2 classroom, and it is an SBT1, SBT3, SBT2, whatever the placement type that it is. In this screen, you will also have a safeguarding certificate for each of these students that you can download from here for your records. That includes the DBS information and proof of the safeguarding checks that we perform for associate teachers to be good to practice in schools. The last thing that's important on this screen is the kind of green allocations line below here. If I just click that once, that will expand, and it'll give you a little overview of the dates that the associate teachers are going to be in school with you. And it'll make clear which are visiting days and which are going to be the block placement, as John has explained to us. What we'd like you to do on here is, after you've created accounts for all the mentors of the associate teachers, is to actually assign a mentor to each of the associate teachers through this menu here. So say John is the teacher that I'm looking at in this menu. I could then allocate a mentor from the list of contacts that you've created to John in here, so that we have a record of who the mentor is working with each associate teacher in class. There are two options here. We understand that in some schools, the placement mentor, being the class teacher, will work with the associate teacher and will do all parts of the mentoring. And as a coordinator, you may not work with a student directly, whereas in other schools, the student may work with a class teacher, but professional mentoring may be done by a different person in school. So you can assign both of those in this menu here. That's kind of the main bit that the portal does for us. There are a few other kind of functions that I just want to point out. I'm just going to return to the home page here. There's a button here at the bottom which is called Placement Information, and that links you to our partnerships website, which Anne has put into the chat, and she's going to say a couple more things about it in a second. So that contains all the information from today. It'll have a recording, handbook, and all the things that the mentors working with students will actually need access to. So there's a kind of an easy link to get to that through the portal. The other thing that you might want to use on this portal is the Contact Us page here on the side. And that just contains some kind of handy links and contact details for the people that you might need to speak with at the university. Obviously, each of you have an assigned a lead mentor from the BCU team, but if you need any specific things, there's a list of contacts that you can use to reach out to. The last thing that I just want to point out is the little messages box here in the right-hand side. We'll be using this as sort of a message board. There's nothing on it at the moment, but we'll be sharing updates through the portal. You'll get a little email alert whenever there's a new message in here, and we'll be using this to share updates with you in the portal. I hope that was kind of a quick overview. I don't want to take up too much time. If you have any problems with it at all, then do reach out to us. Yeah, I hope that it's going to make it a little bit easier to keep records about associate teachers and our partnership this year. John, that's all I have. Unless there are specific questions, I'm happy to take them in the chat so that we can let Anne get on explaining mentoring and all the other things.
Thank you very much, Yorgos. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on the chat, and we can pick up those questions at the end. One thing has just occurred to me, which I probably forgot to say, about lesson observations. We ask that you do one a week, so one within the first week, and then one every other week of the placement, formal lesson observations with feedback. We do come in and do one joint observation with you, so that your lead mentor, whoever it is that's assigned to your school, will come in and do that, and will support with the review and the progress meetings as well. Okay, if I share my screen again, because I've got Anne's slides on there as well. Anne, are you ready?
I'm ready, thank you. I've just had to take a call from a school, so thank you. That was perfect timing.
Let me just find your your slides at the end.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, reassure everybody that I hopefully won't keep you too long because, and if you can hopefully see those slides, then they're a little bit small. Yeah, perfect. That's great. Just to say thank you, obviously, for supporting our associate teachers, and just to reassure you about the mentoring processes for you. Oh, that doesn't seem to be my slides, actually. Have a look. Can't see. No, I think. Don't worry, I've got them here. Let me just, if you just stop sharing, John, I'll make sure you've got the right ones. They don't seem to be the right ones. Do not worry, I've got them here. Perfect. So you can just confirm that you can see those slides now.
Yeah, we can.
Perfect. So I can't see the chat now, John. So please, shout at me or whatever to remind me if there's any information that somebody's got a question, etc. So just to very quickly say, I know Yorgos and John have very clearly outlined the processes in terms of us as being BCU university tutors and now the lead mentor, and that the information that will be relevant to you as a placement mentor working with our associate teachers this year will be accessible on the Primary Partnership website. The mentoring element of that is up to date. We are just adding some more information about the BA for BA Year 2, so it will look slightly different, but that should be up and running by the end of this week. Just to say that obviously you might have heard about the up to 20 hours of training, which John might have mentioned earlier, but actually for you working with our BA Year 2s, the expectation regarding mentoring is really attending this particular school briefing meeting and also the work that you will do alongside your lead mentor coming into university. So whilst we don't have any other CPD running alongside this particular offer, there is the option of you attending or joining asynchronously some of our mentoring platform on Brightspace, and that will give you a really clear overview of the mentoring processes and principles of mentoring. But as I said, that is very much an option for you to access, and there is no expectation for you to do that. So just looking to the Primary Partnership website, if those of you who've worked with the website before will see that actually it has changed slightly. This information will be shared with you, as I said, at the end of the recording, and also we make sure it's accessible for you. So just if you wanted to take part in any of the mentoring that's available, as I said, there's no expectation for you to do this. This is what is on offer. If you want to dip in and support your own CPD, then please feel free to do that. So really what we wanted to stress and emphasize to you is that you are, the areas that you're going to be looking at particularly is the IT curriculum and subject prompts and assessments. So all of that information will be shared with you via your associate teacher. They'll be sharing their subject-specific development journal, which is effectively our curriculum, and you'll be helping them to understand, what they have learned in university, how that has an implication on their practice, as John has alluded to previously, to support you in giving effective feedback when you are following lesson observations, etc. We have devised our subject-specific prompts, which are the same as if you've worked with us last year, that it's the same process. They will help you to set those specific targets, and very much working with our associate teachers to support them with their critical incident, which John's already mentioned. So really, hopefully they're going to ask your advice as to, and your experience to help them to craft that information, and then using our BC IT assessment tracker to help you effectively track their progress through review and progress meetings. So the lead mentor will be coming into school to support you through that process. So really it is effectively business as usual, and hopefully nothing new for you to engage with. We will be working with our mentor coaching model, which just really helps to refine some of the feedback and the feedback conversations that you can have with your associate teacher. And again, if you click on the link when it comes through, you'll be able to see a little bit more depth and detail about how you can use some of the questions there to help formulate those conversations, those really productive, deep conversations with the associate teachers. And BA Year 2s, I've been working with them this week, and certainly the group I've been involved in, they're really beginning to really think like teachers, and I know that they would really welcome your expertise in supporting their development this year. Just to reassure you in terms of the mentoring commitment, as I said, this meeting and this recording, if you're accessing this asynchronously, together with the lead mentor visits, is part of the package to support you as a mentor in school to work with our associate teachers. And I'm sure that, if any of you do have any opportunity of working with us again, perhaps with our BA Year 1s, or to perhaps host a PGCE associate teacher for their school-based training too, or certainly our BA Year 3s, this is just an indication of the funding that's available. And I know that you could contact Yorgos if you are keen for your school to work with us in the future as well. So just to reassure you, business as usual in terms of the primary partnership website, but just bear with us. We're having a good house cleaning, a revamp of it to make it a little bit more accessible for you. But as I said, the mentoring tile is available, and this recording, together with the PowerPoint, will be available for you as quickly as possible. And just in case you want to get in touch with me regarding anything to do with the partnership, or equally, if you have a mentoring query, then please use those contacts that are available here. So, if anybody has any questions, more than happy to support and help. But that is our sort of mentoring offer for this year. But thank you again very much indeed for supporting our associate teachers in school. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Anne. Okay, I think we've just got to the point really to where we just need to say, are there any questions that you would like to ask about any of that? I know there's been one or two that have been picked up in the chat by Nicola and by Anne. Anything else? Anybody want to shout anything out? No? Okay. Well, thank you all very much for attending. I can tell you that our associate teachers are all very excited about placement and really looking forward to coming into school and working with you in school. So I hope that that you enjoy them as much as we do. And the staff are actually looking forward to coming into school as well, because that's one of the best bits of our job, is coming back into school and getting amongst the children and seeing how our associate teachers are working with them. So thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well done, everybody.
Thank you.